So Tim Wilson, Professor Tim Wilson's just going on about the Constitution not being codified, right? I don't know where people get this from, because, all right, all these European human rights and the Human Rights Act, right? The Human Rights Act has actually got all these sections which are fully codified, but no one even actually reads those. I was interested in them, right? The articles are quite vague, particularly these European articles, not the Human Rights Act 1998 in English law. All these Euro rights, like the right to freedom of expression, that is uncodified, right? Because it doesn't exactly say, because if you use this right to freedom of expression and take it literally, then, no one can stop you from expressing yourself in any way at all, right? So what's the point of even creating that, freedom of expression, and then, you can't pray outside a clinic? That's uncodified because it suggests, it's trying to pretend that you can express yourself in any way you want, and you've got the freedom to do that. But when it comes down to it, MPs are making all these laws to say, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do that, right? Which goes completely against the principle of the article, right? So to me, it means that it's pretend. They don't actually really want you to have freedom of expression. They're trying to make you believe that you've got it, but it's like what Russell Brand says, it's like a false facade, right? When in fact they're actually doing everything they can to stop you expressing yourself freely, right? Now, British constitutional law, right, which is, the hot topic at the moment because it's important, right? I don't claim to know anything about immigration law because I haven't been looking at it, and it seems complicated to me. Maybe this constitutional law on petitioning seems complicated to other people, but I understand it and I get it, and I wanted to learn it, and I do understand it. Maybe I could learn immigration law if I looked into it, but it wasn't a priority to look into it, right? Now, with the 1688 Bill of Rights, when you know a few things, right, you only have to know a few pieces of information which clarifies a few uncertainties which some people have because they doubt what they're reading, right? That 1688 Bill of Rights, when you know the history leading up to it, right, and then acts that have made after it, actual proper acts of law which are all codified, and the general knowledge of people who know about that subject, and they clarify certain matters which are meant to be given as known, right? There's nothing uncodified about it, right? It says it is the right of the subjects, that is us, without doubt, to petition the king. So when you're doing petitioning, which whatever that means, which we'll get to, if you know what it means, you know what it means, right? But then again, it's like saying, it's like having a theft, right? Theft. To put someone at a loss while making a gain for oneself and so forth. You can get as complicated as you want, right? This is the thing, define theft, and then barristers still argue the codified law, which people are claiming, right? Codified law, right? This so-called codified law, which is meant to be intricately detailed to explain it thoroughly, right, is the material that these barristers are arguing over how they're going to win and lose a case. Because firstly, they've got to prove whether someone did or not do something. Did they intend to do it or not? What was their intention? And was it them who did it or not? And then they even argue over the meaning of a word. What does the word mean? They argue over what does the word before mean, right? Does before mean when you're stood in front of a person, or before them mean leading up to standing in front of them, which could mean the process of getting to them, like the process of travelling until they arrive at the person in front of them, right? Because in the dictionary, before them means, it says in order to, right? In order to. And some acts have a meaning. In this act, this means this, that means that. Other acts, it doesn't have to have a specific meaning other than what it means in the English dictionary, right? So these are all the things that barristers are arguing about, like the meaning of a word or whatever. So just because it's codified, it means nothing. People are debating and arguing over codified law. To me, it's a red herring. Retarded people come out with statements like, "Oh, the Constitution's not codified." Look, right, it's the right of us, okay, if you're a British subject, to do petitioning, right? And that's another word you can look at what the meaning of it is when you know what it is, right? And all prosecutions are illegal and being committed to prison, right? What is not codified about that? Given that both Herbert Broom, doctorate in law, and William Prynne, right, are both in agreement and clarification that Parliament, okay, although that no MP can act on behalf of the King or as if they were the King, if they write a document, right? They can vote in Parliament and they can represent for Parliament, right? But no MP acts or performs anything as if they're the King, right? But the King is always regarded as being present in Parliament, right? Even if he's not there. And he's not allowed in the House of Commons, but with the mace is in the Commons, right? So they're always acting as if he's present with his authority, right? Both in the House of Lords and Commons, it says they're agreed that the King is always present in Parliament, right? Whether by his authority or the Crown. But no individual member can purport to act as the King or on behalf of him, right? But that means that if you're petitioning the House of Commons, right, if the King is always meant to be present in there, in his persona, right, or through the mace, then you're always petitioning the King, right? So when is the right of the subjects to petition the King, that means includes the House of Commons, right? And this is not vague, right? So it includes petitions to the House of Commons or Lords, right, or the Privy Council. Now, what is petitioning? Well, you might as well say what is rowing, right? What is rowing? You know, what is climbing? You know, it's uncodified. Climbing's uncodified. No, it says petitioning. Well, what is that? Well, what is an election? Right? Is an election codified? If it said it is the right of the subjects to do elections and all prosecutions and commitments for doing so are illegal, then is that easy enough to understand? What is petitioning? Why is it not codified? Elections are codified. We know what I actually wrote a paper on this called The Requisitions of Petitioning, right? It's effectively near identical to canvassing for an election. Extremely similar, because there are certain things that activities that you perform, right? It's like a triathlon, right? If we said that it is the right of a subject to perform in a triathlon, right, and all prosecutions for doing so are illegal, well, what does a triathlon require? Well, it's swimming, cycling, and running, right? That's a triathlon. Swimming, cycling, and running, right? So you got something to work with there, right? If you are a participant in a triathlon, then you can't be prosecuted for cycling, running, or swimming, surely, right? So, but they've got this for elections. Now, it does, in the election rules, they can get quite complicated, right? only because elections are more fairly run, and the government facilitates it. Because the government's facilitating it, in a way, really, right, with that e-petitions website. The e-petitions website, right, was only created in 2006. It's quite new. The government has never helped anyone, right, putting their petitions in a newspaper or printing them out flyers before a debate, right? It might publish things in Hansard or whatever afterwards, but leading up to, in order to hand a petition in, right, is up to us. We prepare it, we canvass it, we collect the signatures, we advertise it under the definition of advertisement, which is created by the government, right? And a representation in public or whatever. And you can't be arrested for doing that, okay? You know, we used to be arrested for civil actions and process. Now you're not, right? Now there are a few things criminal that you don't get arrested for, like speeding offences. People don't get arrested unless it's dangerous driving. Like, you know, minor speeding offences get put through criminally, but there's no arrest and usually not imprisonment, right? That's really, petitioning is similar, right? You're not meant to be arrested or imprisoned, but there's actually been certain laws made where in law, in additional acts, it's actually said that, you know, it's not a crime, it's not an offence. Because it's giving deemed and express consent to do certain things in public. Put place and use advertisements in the public arena. I know that it doesn't necessarily say private property, right? But at least if it is private property, you can't be arrested or put in prison for doing it. You might be able to be prosecuted, but that was only leading up to 1688. And after that, you can't even be prosecuted, right? Now, you know, if you're saying that's where the codified part and uncodified part gets strange, well, you know, what about, you know, defending the country on behalf of the realm, the free and general pardon? What about catching a highwayman, whatever it takes to apprehend a highwayman? You can even keep all of the reap the rewards of his booty and title even you can have, you know, for whatever means is necessary to apprehend him, right? There was no, you know, speed limit to be observed when chasing after a highwayman. If you apprehend him, you know, it was no holds barred. So, you know, this is the thing. Obviously, got about, you know, if he's dead, then, you know, you're not going to have a decent fair trial with him if he can't, you know, answer the crime. But, you know, this is the thing, right? The Public Meeting Act, right? Once you've got a lawful right to do something, then you can't be broken up in a public meeting. So how can you fail to comply with the dispersal order? The police aren't allowed to be political. So if you're using political signs and banners, okay, how can the police take them off you when that is obstructing that's taking a political side, right? So they've got this law in the Representation of the People Act. Why is it called the Representation of the People Act? You know, illegal police canvassing when they're on duty, they're not allowed. Unless it's an offence under that Act. But I don't think there are many offences under that Act. And, you know, still, you know, they give out certificates of indemnity and there's privileges in those trials which, you know, that's dealt with separately from finding out if the election is void or not, right? Which is why you have that recall of MP petition after a report is sent to the Speaker, right? This is the thing. It's very clear now. And it was clear to me from the beginning, right? But no one wants to believe it because some people don't like it. Whether you like it or not, you know, that's your problem. You know, these things were known and understood and they were there for a purpose because of tyrannical governments. And then they always say that, oh, it's the people who are there to, you know, be under control and subdued, and so the people don't go berserk and have a, riots or whatever. But I've just been reading, like that Leviathan book was written during the Civil War, and it's all about, you need a strong government, or else the public are just going to be, against each other all the time or whatever. But what is a strong government is a strong democratic process. But another thing was, William Prince writing about, in the 1688 Bill of Rights, it's got a lot about standing armies, and it's got a lot about the right to bear arms for defence and things like that. Because, the government, the Crown had put, soldiers around everywhere, mariners, and they got martial law, and they were getting, they were intruding on people's private houses and property, and they were claiming martial law. They were claiming immunities. The soldiers were claiming immunities under martial law, so that none of the citizens and the public could prosecute them or take legal action against them. Right now, that's like having a police force who are just literally, themselves acting with immunities. So it's been, now I actually think it's worse now, because they've got we're meant to be, the public, the law's there for us to use and enforce, right? And when the law's taken away from us and it is being seized by the police, and all the legal processes are actually apprehended by the police, and they are monopolising them, and they're in complete control of them. And if you need help and it's an emergency, and the police are refusing to do anything, and you haven't got any money, you don't have there's no justice, right? It's not the police's law. And it's not the Crown Prosecution Service's law. It's our law, right? And we are paying for the police. We're buying them all the equipment and buildings and vehicles and fuel, right? And the training, right? It is not the police's law. It is the law of the citizens. And the police they're not even reducing crime. They're rubbish. Yeah, so, the hero police, there's as many police officers who have fatalities than the members of the public, the way that in that PC Dave Phillips chase is going, there are some bad. The law surely is bad if crime's getting worse, and then we've got all these immigration problems, right, which is making crime worse. The police go after dopey people who have eaten too many burgers, right, and are just going back from work, literally they just set up a rat race and then zapping rats with fines because rats are dopey and easy to catch, right, and they don't actually have any competence at getting serious crime at any significant volume to reduce it. And we shouldn't have any crime anyway in this country. If there wasn't a disproportionate wealth offset, then we wouldn't have that much crime, because there would be no reason for anyone to steal anything or rob anything, right? And then there wouldn't be any social there wouldn't be social differences where there were rich and poor. So, and we know that in Derbyshire, when they had the first proper factories, we know that, everyone started complaining about the minimum wage, but then they got called Luddites, and apparently in schools they taught us that, these people were against technology and progress, when it actually wasn't. They were actually against being ripped off and made poor, because, these factory owners didn't want to share out the profits to the whole realm. And now, all of those companies have been bought up under these big groups, and the government is in debt, because basically the government is helping these corporate entities fleece us all, right? And there's no constraint or restraint on building, and it's upsetting a lot of people, and people are getting upset, and it's creating depressing, resentful neighbourhoods where people's lives are being made unhappy just to suit builders and developers making a profit and councillors in the name of progress. But it's not progress when, you live in a, Cadbury village, and it's a nice, tranquil village, with a water wheel, and then the next thing, it's like an urban sprawl with crime everywhere. That is not progress. And this is the thing with this Department of Innovation and Technology. Devices aren't progress. It's getting more technological and technological and technological, but what's surrounding that technology? Unhappiness, lack of health. Some people don't know what progress actually is. They've got this in the new Doctor Who series. They've got the 17th century kind of manor with, they've got Isaac Newton sitting under a tree. It's sort of really like expensive house in the countryside, right? Which anyone living in, Liverpool or Birmingham or Walsall or anywhere would jump over the moon if they could live in a house like that in the countryside, right? Yet, there's this TARDIS in the tree, and it's going to be like super, all this technology, but they're making out that no one's happy living in small terrace houses, crammed in with their families, without the latest furniture, and only a small TV to watch, and technology, going to McDonald's down the road, and they get the pair of night trainers, and it's all technology. But apparently, there's loads of crime and unhappiness, right? So, there is no progress in social order or true management because people don't care about other people. MPs don't care about people's rights. Company owners don't care about the people. And in fact, the people have become their products now. After all this big corporate takeover, we used to be their customers. Now we're their products, right? They're designing us. What we're going to have these people wearing. Where are they going to go? What are they going to do? Let's have them going to the cinema. Let's have them eating, hot dogs. Let's have them having Twinkies. Let's have them, what can we do with them all? We'll set up these holidays to Barbados, and we'll have them walking around eating hot dogs in Barbados, with a ring around themselves floating in the sea, all this stuff. Alvida's pet, let's not have them going on, archaeological trips to Egypt or somewhere interesting to learn something. No, we can't have that. We'll have them going, take a pee in the pool, in Barbados or whatever. We'll feel a bit of warmth on them, if the sunbed's too small. It's and the main problem with humans is they just can't stop. Yet the police are quite happy to set up all these speeding traps and telling everyone to slow down and giving them courses, education courses. Why can't we have courses like speed awareness courses for builders, right? Say, look, stop building so much, you're after all this money, and then they should make them watch videos of all the people who are depressed and unhappy, because their environment's being destroyed and all the places they like are being ruined, right? And all of the crime in the neighborhood because of all the building, right? All these builders just can't stop. They're doing it for the money, for the profits. But government likes that. Government likes that, faster, build more highways, This is a thing, we're naughty because, we're trying to get somewhere and go somewhere, but we don't have builders, where are the speed cameras for the builders, we don't have any, you're building too fast, you're developing the countryside too fast. Maybe we should have sex cameras, when these builders are banging away in the bedroom, whoa, whenever they've had two kids, the camera should flash, and they should get some penalty points and have to go on a sex course, you know. Can't you keep your dick in your pocket or whatever? This is the thing. Why aren't we having sex education officers like with builders, right? Going, look, you know, you got 3 points now. You got 3 kids, you know, that's 12 points. And then, you know, sat in front of a screen, like telling them how to have sex without spilling the spunk everywhere, you know, all over the neighbourhood. Why aren't the police in front of builders, you know, telling them how to have sex properly? This is the thing, you know, but there's no restraint on the human population. And the government only know how to find people and create laws to prosecute rather than through TV and the videos. But the government haven't even got a control on TV. Because all they want to do is be on TV, you know, like Nigel Farage or Tice or, you know, Lee Anderson. They want to be on TV and get the audience clapping and so forth, you know, like Liz Truss. But they don't actually want to try and control the TV programmes and the advertisements that are causing all of the behavioural problems, like in America with all the shootings, you know, which clearly is television. You know, in America they're saying, oh, they didn't used to have these crazy shootings, and now there are loads of them. What could it be? Let's think. You know, what's suddenly appeared? You know, since the 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. Oh, crazy violent movies. You know, we know that it's the movies. We know that it's the movies because you know this is the thing. But then again, you know, they had guns and people were shooting each other all through the 1800s in America. But, you know, okay, they didn't have school shootings, but they didn't really have proper school systems, you know. Well, at least they've stopped shooting, you know, at least men have stopped shooting each other over, you know, duels and arguments and lynching mobs, and now they're just going into schools and shooting each other, you know, so something's changed. But, you know, this is the thing, that it's, you know, I don't think that it's going to get any better, because with YouTube now and Facebook, you know, it's actually making it a million times worse with all these different programs. And, you know, what is the point in a game show? If everyone had money and didn't need it, why would they need to go on a game show to win some money? They wouldn't. And if everyone, you know, was getting good education, why would they need to prove that they're more clever than someone else, right? You know, this is the thing. It's not like University Challenger or whatever. The society and model is just terrible. And this is why people are, you know, protesting, because, you know, they want something to be done about it. Really, everyone actually really wants other people to stop doing something, whether it is, you know, stop polluting, or whether it is, you know, stopping from ruining the countryside, or whatever it is. I think that people are actually complaining about certain things being stopped, but the government has got no intention of stopping anything, right? This is the thing with Elon Musk, you know, it's, you know, Elon Musk to the moon or nothing, you know, it's all for progress of particular and certain people and things, and screw everyone else, like Tony Blair said, you know, that's someone else's problem. And I think, you know, I'll end this conversation on that, what Tony Blair says, you know, take it from a man who was Prime Minister, you know. Prime Minister, what do you think about all these problems? Well, those problems there are someone else's problem, not my problem, you know. So, you know, what else can you say? You know, a man who doesn't care about other people's problems.